got an MP from Shrewsbury in Shropshire speaking to you. Obviously Paul is a London MP. Well, I'm the first ever Polish-born British Member of Parliament. So I was born in Warsaw, and we came to this country in 1978 because my parents didn't want to live under a communist system. And I want to say to you that encourage all of you. I'm glad that we met some candidates here, or people who are looking to get onto the list. Because I think it's very, very important to get the next generation to apply to go on the list and to stand for Parliament. We want as diverse a Parliament as possible. And somebody said to me when I was first standing to be elected, they said, well, you know, Kawczynski, it's not a very Shropshire name, is it? How are you going to cope with a name like Kawczynski in Shropshire? And I said, well, it didn't cause my grandfather's generation any problems when they were fighting in the Battle of Britain. So I hope it doesn't cause me any problems today. And they all cheered at that. And there is a film at the moment, I'd like you to go to see a film, which is in all the cinemas, called Hurricane at the moment. If you get the chance, go and see a film called The Hurricane. I went to the premiere of Hurricane in Leicester Square. And it shows the unique contribution of the Poles during the Battle of Britain. The 303 Squadron shot down more enemy aircraft than any other squadron in the Battle of Britain. And when we had a dinner with Lord Tevitt at the RAF Club, half the table was Polish, the other half was English. And Lord Tevitt said something which will stay with me forever. He said, the Luftwaffe and the Royal Air Force was so finely balanced in the summer of 1940. And of course you can replace planes quite easily, but you can't replace pilots. It takes a long time to train up those pilots. He said that when the Poles came in unprecedented numbers, they tipped the balance in the Battle of Britain to the English side and helped us to win the Battle of Britain and then ultimately go on to defeating fascism on the continent of Europe. So I'm very proud of my Polish roots. I didn't talk much about it first when I became a Member of Parliament. I remember at boarding school talking about Poland a great deal. And the boy turned around to me and said, well, Kawczynski, if Poland is so great, why don't you piss off back to Poland? that was in the summer of 1980. But increasingly, I'm becoming more and more confident in talking about Poland, because I think if you are in the House of Commons and you have a unique attribute, you ought to play to that. And I just want to tell you that I've flown back from Warsaw this afternoon, and I want to tell you a message that I gave an audience of 500 academics, students and business people yesterday evening. This will upset some of you because some of you voted Remain in the referendum, and I'm sorry, and I apologise ahead of what I'm going to say. But to the Brexiteers in the room, clap away.
That's generous, then.
What I said to the Poles is this: what will happen? You know, I had a delegation of Polish students came to see me in the House of Commons, and I said to them, how much money do you think we've handed over to the European Union since we joined? And these were the equivalent of Oxbridge students, and they said to me, well, we reckon you've handed over about 15 to 20 billion pounds since you joined. They were astonished when I told them that according to the House of Commons Library, the British taxpayers handed over 629 billion pounds net to the European Union budget since we joined. Now, I don't know about Paul, but I can take you to schools in Shrewsbury with leaking roofs and poor insulation where they're cutting back on teaching assistants. I can take you to our local hospital where people are still on trolleys in corridors because there are not enough beds for them. And yet we are still handing over 200 million pounds of your money every week to the European Union, because of course there are only two net contributors, the United Kingdom and Germany. All the other countries take money out. And what I said to the Poles is this: when Britain pulls out, we are rapidly going to become a petri dish. They're all going to be looking at us. I believe, because I believe in this country, that we will thrive when we pull out of the European Union. and with a light, typical Conservative policies, as long as we keep out Mr. Corbyn, with light regulation, low taxation, and a global vision, and actually allowing third world countries to export tariff-free into our markets rather than handing them a little bit of international aid, giving them access and showing the world what free global trade means, this country will thrive. And we will inevitably work closer with our key American partners from across the Atlantic. And so what I said to them is, ultimately, you will have to make a decision for yourself. Stay in the European Union, which is on the fast track towards a supranational state, with one flag, one currency, one EU Parliament, one President of the Commission, and now a single European army, which they're talking about, or keep your options open and think about one day potentially joining an alliance with Britain and the United States of America. Strong together in NATO and with a free trade liberal policy. Now that's difficult for some of them to understand and accept, because they are inextricably moving towards greater integration with the European Union. But I'll tell you this, amongst young people in Warsaw, there is more and more interest in Pole exit, because they are starting to see at first hand the extraordinary interference in their own domestic affairs, the bullying and the threats from Brussels, and they've had enough. And I had the great honour of meeting somebody here from Budapest, who's come over to work in this country from Hungary. And of course, we will continue to welcome you to our country, and you make a huge contribution. You make a huge contribution to our society, but we are going to be engaging with you and making sure that immigration is managed and controlled in the interests of both the United Kingdom and the rest of Europe. And the last thing I want to say is this. I want a colour-blind immigration policy. I don't want a whites-only club, thank you very much. I want the brightest and the most skilled people from all over the world to be able to apply to work in this country, and for us to assess whether or not we ought to give them a work permit. At the moment, the hard-working, highly skilled Bangladeshi doctor will find it much more difficult to get in than the low-skilled Romanian worker. That's wrong. And one of the greatest things that we have as an opportunity of pulling out of Brexit is managing our immigration policy in the interest of the United Kingdom, but also showing the path for other European countries that there is life after the European Union. And that's all I wanted to say. It's a great pleasure to come and support you. I started my political life, my rookie seat was Ealing Southall, where I was up against something called the late Pierre Sincabra, and that we had Labour ascendancy with Tony Blair in 2001, and knocking on the streets of Ealing Southall, I can tell you, in 2001 was not easy. I think I had enough courage to sink a battleship, going to all the Gurdwaras and everything, but it was tough for Conservatives in 2001, and I know how hard you work and how committed you are in a seat like this, who Madame Thornbury or Lady Yuji represents. So good luck to you. We wish you every success, and Paul and I look forward to taking any questions. Thank you.